Hey, so I wanted to share something from a blog that I read by HG Tudor, and it was about all the different types of narcissists, and this was something that was so validating for me because when I first learned about narcissism, the people in my life didn't fit that description, even though I identified with Narcissistic Abuse Syndrome. So then I was very confused as to how this was possible. But people can be narcissists and have different qualities that may make two people seem like they're completely different personality type, but they're actually both narcissists. So I wanted to just kind of summarize what was in this article because it was so helpful for me. So before I do that, I just wanted to say in general what all narcissists have is a lack of compassion, a lack of self-reflection, not feeling remorse, blame shifting, deflecting, projection, not taking any responsibility, a sense of entitlement, not having any boundaries, and gaslighting. And they all need supply, but different narcissists will have different strategies. So one type of supply is positive supply, which is worship, which is where they do something nice for you, or they act all arrogant and wonderful, and then you think that you love them. The negative supply is fear, sadness, jealousy, anxiety, basically any negative emotion. And then there's also pity supply, which is mostly used by a specific type of narcissist as well as people with borderline personality disorder. So the different levels of narcissists, according to this article, are based on the level of charm that they have and the level of intellect, which go hand in hand. So the lowest level, which is called a lesser narcissist, has low intellect and low charm. And they basically go on instinct. They're aggressive, volcanic, and likely to be alcoholic or drug addicts. And the abuse is quite obvious in terms of yelling, being violent, or sexual abuse. So these narcissists would be fairly easy to spot based on these explicit abusive behaviors. So then the mid-range narc again does not have the awareness that they are a narcissist, but HG Tudor said that they know that they're lying, but they don't know why they're lying, only that lying makes them feel better. So they're not fully aware that they're a narcissist, but they have some understanding that their behavior is wrong in some way and that they're lying about it. So the lower mid-range is passive aggressive and have cold fury, like the silent treatment. They get people to feel sorry for them, and they are pathetic if they choose that victim role. They're not charming, and they have a limited social circle. And then the middle mid-range is polite, respectable, and well thought of. Not a huge attention seeker. They are intelligent and have a good job. They are envious and get others to do their dirty work for them, so they're two-faced. They're cowardly. They're a gossip, liar, and they use pity and the silent treatment. They have the facade of being a regular guy, and they do a lot of blame shifting. They have the facade of being a well brought up son or daughter, and they are lacking charisma, and they are somewhat aware of their facade. And the upper mid-range has considerable intelligence and charm. They are a master manipulator with silence, including ghosting and like the death stare. They choose people who hate being ignored or overlooked as their target. They play people against one another, and they have a certain sophistication of doing that. They hurt people by excluding them. They appear to lack volatility, so they don't have those outward displays of aggression like the lower narc. And they have the sophistication to keep different sources of supply separate from one another. And they can have a bigger social circle. So the greater narcs have an awareness that they are narcissists, and this is more in the sociopath range. So they're more intelligent and more charismatic, and they can smooth things over using their charm. And they're grandiose, outgoing, and popular, and can talk to anyone. People are drawn to them. And these are the types that can be on stage, like TV, politics, and people adore them. And they're often quite driven in their careers to pursue fame, wealth, and excellence. And then the kind of highest level of the greater narcs is a planner and a schemer and very calculated. And they're charming, but with an edge. And they must always win. And these types will seek powerful position rather than fame. So that was what I got from the article, which I will link down below. And then I just wanted to add that I think that borderline personality disorder is like kind of another level of narcissism. So they have all the traits that I mentioned in the beginning of a narcissist, but then they also are like over emotional and childish, and their emotions are very unregulated and like a roller coaster, and they're needy and very passive aggressive and playing the victim pity card. And they also have very bizarre responses in my experience. Like, the narcissists are usually able to convey being a normal person, at least for a certain amount of time, whereas my experience with the borderlines is that they can't maintain a normal facade, and they just seem to just have very strange responses, which of course we can write off because we're in denial of it. But when you really start to pay attention, the borderline is much more obviously mentally ill than the narcissist, in my experience. So the information that I shared was so incredibly validating to me, because certain family members fit the mid-range category, and I had previously thought of narcissists as either being like the sociopath, you know, business famous person, or the lesser narcissist, which is physically abusive and yells and is obviously very selfish and self-entitled. So there are all of these smaller categories, and then even within that there's different ways that I think the person's personality interacts with their narcissism. So I hope that was validating for some of you who are wondering if someone in your life is a narcissist, or maybe they're borderline, or maybe they're histrionic. There's lots of different ways that a person can cause narcissistic abuse syndrome in their children. So validate yourself based on the symptoms that you have and go from there, basically. But don't assume that the person in your life is not mentally ill if they don't fit the first article that you read about narcissism. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching.